Alright, welcome back to Forza Horizon 5. We're back in the classic Countach because we need a car from the 80s. It is A class and we need to maintain an average speed of 136 km an hour through the speed zone, which is not necessarily going to work too well. I have tuned this car up a little bit, so if nothing else, there's better brakes and hopefully better cornering. Hey, there we go. First time through. It's really tricky, that one, because of the really sharp corners right at the end when you're wanting to pile the speed on. Never sure whether or not I want to do it forwards or backwards, really. Alright, on to the next one. And those of you who have seen my channel before have seen this Trailblazer before. This is the classic case of the Trailblazer in the city, where you can do it twice within a minute and get 3 stars each time, because that's an accolade. And it's the one we have to do for the challenge, which, yeah, means that we should do it fine. I didn't actually see what I needed to achieve, but I'm gonna hope that something like 40 seconds is fine. 5000 XP, I think that means I did it. There we go. Yeah, that one's a bit of a gimme. Right, next up we have a, well, it was presented as a retro rally. That's the car we had to choose, as a retro rally car, and then they've gone and paved it. This is real, like, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot sort of stuff. I mean, come on. Don't put a racetrack on the top of the volcano and then just have it be a tarmac surface. I mean, come on. This car has off-road race tyres. I thought this was a good thing. This is the Event Lab race, in case you hadn't figured. Which, as always, very hit and miss. This one I feel quite a miss. Not a fan. I mean, on the one hand, I don't mind not having opponents to race against. So I can just kind of take it easy. And it's kind of just as well, given that this is a car very much kitted out for rallying. This is our Lancia Delta, I think, that we set up quite a long time ago, quite an early video. I got this and bought a tuning. Not bought a tuning, but installed a tune that someone else had done, specifically to try and win a rally race. And it didn't come out very well, to be honest. I wasn't hugely impressed by what they did with it, so I've retuned it myself with a bit more emphasis on the handling side of things and not having the silly big lights on the front and stuff like that I've done. So it looks a little bit more sane again. But unfortunately it does have, like I said, off-road race tyres, and this is not the right surface for those. I wish I'd just grabbed the Audi Nitro that I had, which is all-wheel drive, but no tyre customizations. But I wouldn't have needed them. Still, this has a lot more performance, while still remaining a B class. And thankfully it's only 2 laps, so it's not actually a bad track. I don't mind the layout, the course layout. I just wish it was the rally surface that I was promised. Never mind. I think I still have all of my driver aids turned off as well, come to think of it. I turned them all off just for messing around with something earlier, and I don't think I ever turned them back on again. So, yeah, this could be fun. On to the next. Unfortunately, we don't get to stick with one car for any great length of time here. We'll have this series, we'll have 3 races in a classic BMW M3 from the 70s, so this should be fun. Kind of appropriate, I think, probably, to not have driver aids in this. I really miss ABS the most. Traction control, stability control, I can do without those, and it makes sense for them not to be on this vehicle. ABS, I feel it probably would have had it, and I really miss it when it comes to the sharp bends. Most of the time, not a problem, but when it comes to right angle corners, it's really nice to not lock up under braking. I just feel I have to take it so gently. Messing with traffic, so that gives me a chance to catch up, but then I forgot that there was a corner. Yeah, okay. Press B to rewind. You know, I probably should. However, this is a C-Class car. We are racing other C-Class cars. I don't actually feel too bad about my ability to catch up and keep pace with these guys. The lower the rating of the vehicle, the more forgiving it tends to be in the racing. So, now that was a better corner. A bit of a slide coming out the other side, but we can cut some of these corners and catch up a little bit. And then we've just got to work our way through the pack again and hope that we don't have any other really bad corners. If we do, we're going to have to rewind those. We're allowed one really bad corner. Too many of them, no, not so much. It's almost like the rating system is how many corners you can afford to screw up. An A rating, you can screw up once, B twice, C maybe 3 times. S ranks, you're not allowed to make mistakes, simple as that. That wasn't too bad, a little bit wide, but I feel that's not too bad for a bit of a runoff from the corner. And this is the Festival Gate Crash. Sprint. Oh, earn a threading the needle combo in a street race. I'll take that. It's one of those accolades that you can't really grind. You know, you can't set out and go, I'm going to do this one now. Because the traffic just has to be in the right place at the right time. And thankfully, it was. Yeah, someone was catching up to me quite quickly there. I suspect that someone's got a faster vehicle on these straights. So we're just going to have to try and hold it together a bit better on these corners. Interesting to see who it was that I'm up against. I wasn't paying any attention whatsoever to the types of cars I was racing against. Generally, I would consider the M3 to be pretty good though. And into the finish, greeted by the festival crowds once again. Okay, on to the next, and we've done a little bit of tuning in between times. Since we did finish at the festival, that meant we could immediately duck in and make some upgrades and do a little bit of tweaking. Primarily focusing on the transmission, so we swapped out for a race transmission, which gave us an extra gear and allowed us to tweak all of the ratios, so we've tightened everything up in order to try and just sustain our high gears for longer. I also turned my ABS back on, because I don't know whether this car would normally have had ABS, but I need it. I just do not like all the locking up under braking that we end up doing. Like, I'm still not good. Let's be real about this. Still don't have traction control or stability control on, because I don't think those were a thing at this point. This is like from the 70s. That said, I mean, at the end of the day, all you're doing is hampering yourself, because fairly sure the drivatars that you race against, they'll have all of the driver aids turned on. I'm fairly positive. So all you're doing is just making life harder for yourself. It's kind of the next thing to actually turning the skill of the AI up. It's a case of changing how many mistakes that they will make versus making it easier for you to make mistakes. I don't mind having the traction control off though, necessarily. It means you get a little bit of sliding around. It feels a little bit more fun. But the ABS not locking up when you brake suddenly for a corner. That's pretty big. We've got this really tight bend up here, which I always mess up, even with the driver aids on. Doesn't help that there's traffic there too. So we're going to slide down the hill a little bit, but I think half of the rest of the pack got caught on the NPC anyway, so I'm still going to be feathering the brakes a bit too much too, probably, because I'm not used to having ABS turn back on again. But this is alright. We're staying ahead, just as long as we can just keep ahead through these bends up here. We finish on the waterfront just after the golf course, so let's brake nicely. I did upgrade the brakes as well. I was at least allowed to do that. Being a C-class car, you really can't upgrade all that much. So much as changing the tyres bumps you into the B-class, at least. I think actually taking like the semi-slicks actually bumps you into A-class just from that. Makes a huge difference. But springs, transmission, driveline, things like that, you know, we were able to upgrade. As well as I think just like the valves and the intake. But so much as increasing the power by about 4 kilowatts makes a big difference. Ooh, did we just lose? Ah, we just came second because we hit those rocks. That's fine. We can do with coming second. That's acceptable. Just. If I'd realised I could have rewound right at the end there, never mind. And it's actually not too far to the next one, so we can actually drive to our next race. They lined these series up quite nicely for a change, not having to jump all over the map. Very good. Final race. Coming second on the last one won't hurt us too much so long as we win this one, or the person who won the previous one doesn't win this one, essentially. We'll just try and win. Essentially, we just need to make sure that we rewind any terrible corners that we have. It's a decent track, this one. I vaguely recognize it, I think. There's a road race that follows this part of the track as well. It's almost a dirt section through here, which isn't great because we're a rear-wheel drive car, but so are they mostly, I think. I kind of wish they had made this championship also use the Retro Rally that we were using just before for the Event Lab one, but then the Event Lab ones never really cross over. This is a Retro Saloon category instead, I believe. Ugh, very messy. Again, I still have traction control turned off, so we are a little bit shaky on these corners, but it's fine. We get drift skills. Just need to be careful to moderate our throttle a little bit. This feels very familiar. I swear I was just finishing a race along here. Maybe this time we can not hit those stones on the side of the road, because that cost us the first place last race. So it's this corner here. And I think a lot of it is just keeping a bit more power on. Even so, didn't come out of that particularly well. There's a guy right behind me. He's never in the right place to be in my rear view mirror. But he's right there. I think it's another Beamer. I think it's essentially the same car. Or at the very least one that looks very similar. Okay, there's some traffic up here. Can we maybe sneak through here and they can't? Maybe they'll try and fail? Oh, and the finish line's just up here anyway. One final corner. Can we not screw it up this time? There's traffic right there, which makes it a bit difficult. But we made it. And that should be the championship. So I actually misspoke. The previous one was classic sports cars. The category for this is the Retro Saloon. So we've upgraded one M3 to another. We have our 90s M3 this time, that we have used multiple times before, so we're definitely getting our money's worth out of the upgrades. And this is a mixed surface one, so this is again where it would have kind of been nice to have our retro rally car instead. It's nice that they have you mix it up and use different cars to an extent, but at the same time, being comfortable with one car for more than just a few races would be kind of nice. You do get it sometimes that you can use the same one for multiple, but it's mostly you just get to use the same one for the PR challenges. That'll be the same requirement. But when it comes to the actual championships, you often have to chop and change an awful lot. Which is a bit annoying for newer players, that's for sure. Then the festival playlist is kind of the end game content, essentially. It's kind of like your season pass. Just grinding it at the end game, because you've already done the main progression. So if you do just start playing this game, don't worry about trying to do all of these things that I'm doing. Certainly not right off the bat. Your best chance is to not crash into the people in front of you for a start. Just follow the story, such as it is, through its progression. And all of the other story things that I haven't even finished, to be perfectly honest. Because they will often reward you with cars as you progress. If you get like the 3 stars on each of the story episodes, then there's accolades for those that give you vehicles as rewards. Also, you'll just earn wheel spins as you level up, and yeah, it's complete luck, basically like a loot box, but you will almost certainly get some good stuff as you go through the game. And then you do whatever playlist events that you find that you do have the right cars for, but I would certainly not advise stressing out about finding the right car for all of them when you first start playing the game. It doesn't take long to build up a pretty good stable though. I will say I definitely feel a little bit put out that for the Event Lab challenge, we were indicated that it was a rally and then it ended up being just on tarmac. For this one, I don't have any retro saloons that have off-road tyres fitted. And it is a rally. This is at least 4-wheel drive, so that helps. And I suspect none of the others have off-road tyres either, which is why it's still competitive, otherwise someone would probably be zooming off ahead. If I'd finished anywhere near a player house or a festival site, I probably would have just swapped the tyres. Because it would likely only make my rating go down, so I'd stay within the B700 range that I need to. But it would have given me a distinct advantage through some of these corners. That's alright, we're doing fine. Again, they probably don't have the off-road tyres fitted either. We do at least have off-road springs. And we got some added downforce from the splitters, which helps because that gives us better grip. Which is just as well. Got some nasty switchbacks through the jungle as we work our way down. Braked way too early there, but I was a bit blinded by the crest. And you don't really want to launch off into a jump just before a corner, because it's a little bit hard to brake when your wheels aren't touching the ground. So, if you ever see a crest just before a corner, kind of like this, brake before the lip. Because then hopefully you won't jump as much, and you'll be able to brake for one, and also accelerate better through the corner. Nice. Pretty happy with that sequence. Now I've got to splash through the river a little bit. That kind of slows us down for this corner anyway, which is kind of handy. I don't like going through the rivers in this. A lot of the time it seems to slow you down a lot, which makes sense. Problem is it doesn't seem to slow the AI down as much, which is a little bit rude. But we're far enough ahead that this should be race number 2 in the bag. And we'll see if we finish close enough to somewhere that we can swap our tyres. I don't think I'll bother though, to be fair. Don't seem to need them. On to the final race now for the championship. And then we'll see how many more points we need for the series, but I think I'm actually pretty good for that. Not the series, the season. Started off halfway, and I think I've been able to do enough, because we also ticked off a couple of daily challenges along the way, just incidentally, such as one which was just drive a car from the 80s, which a lot of these have been, and our Countach that we started with certainly was. So I think we picked up some bonus points that allowed us to rack up enough, because the event lab was worth 3. Each of these championships are worth 5, so that's 13. Each of the PR challenges was 2 each, so that's 17. And then it's a case of how many daily challenges have we done. The 80s car was certainly 1, so that's 18 points. I feel I probably did another couple without even really trying to. And then there's a couple that are quite easy anyway. There's a take a photo of your car at night, so we can just do that afterwards if we need to. Time was advancing through the nighttime in the actual session, but these races are set to be in midday. There was also one to win a midnight battle, and I mean that's a good way to take a picture of your car at night, with a midnight battle. But if I don't have to do that, it seems a bit kind of cheap to give only 1 point for doing a midnight battle race when it gave me 3 for doing an event lab race against no opponents. So, all about point efficiency here. And of course then there's like the trial, which gives you 10 points. But I prefer to avoid doing that if I don't have to. It depends what the car is that you win from it. But often it might be one that you already have, or can acquire from other means. I want to see if I can do, I was about to say a clean lap just as he hit the wall, but never mind. The thought was there. Oh, it didn't count against me. Ultimate clean racing still. It's always a little bit of a challenge for me if I'm staying well enough ahead of the AI that I don't need to take silly risks. First, it's a case of can I just improve my lap times, which is always nice. And as part of that, the best way to improve your lap time is not to crash into things. Because if you're hitting the wall, that means that you did not take the corner very efficiently. Bit of a lurch through that bend. This is a very uneven surface. Not just the fact that it's a dirt track, but so rutted. Weird off cambers and everything. Ah, some tarmac, finally. Now we get to race through the town, so we try not to crash into someone's front room. It's a really tight chicane through there. Not the best line through there, but not the worst. Final bend, onto the home straight, ultimate clean racing, We haven't beaten our best lap time. That came with lap number 2, turns out. But that's alright. We won the championship. And with that, sure enough, we managed to hit the 40 points we needed to get our Honda NSX. Don't need to win the midnight battle or take a picture of our car at night or do the trial, which would have given us a BMW M1, but I already have one of those thankfully because I was given one in a barn drop just earlier today, so that was convenient. Someone else obviously won one and it was a duplicate and I was the lucky person to get their gift. And we didn't have to do the seasonal playground games either. Sometimes those are fun to do, but they are awfully tedious with the queuing process, and if they're not rewarding me anything better than a novelty car horn, I'm not that interested. So that will do it for the winter season. What have we got to look forward to in spring? We have an odd Citroen and a GMC Cyclone as the rewards. Interesting. Oh, and the weekly challenge uses nothing more than a BMW M1, so if I hadn't gotten given that M1, I would have been doing the trial real quick to just try and get that done. What else have we got to look forward to? We've got Ferrari 365 as the reward from the trial, we've got Audi Quattro, I've already got a few of those I think, Porsche 944, and we've got another treasure hunt, which are always fun. Excellent, well, that will be next week. For now, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.